Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
All right, and welcome back, everybody, to this episode. We're talking about how to make small changes to that vegan lifestyle and really start bringing plants and new things into your diet.
Yeah, going vegan doesn't have to be like an all or nothing immediate decision that you have to change everything the second you choice. Can definitely be a slow process. There can be small changes that could be made, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Little steps towards eating a more vegan diet and living a more vegan lifestyle. So those little tiny things. What do I? Small steps lead to big change. Is
So I
what
like that.
I
I
like.
like that.
I like that too. I thought that was really cute.
I can't remember. Did you step into it, or did you just kind of like 2 feet in the
I
deep
went
end?
gung ho.
Did you?
Yeah, just immediately, just went right into it. Because remember, I told you I used that book, which I talked about in the first episode, the 22-day challenge. So I immediately went vegan from the very beginning,
Yeah.
which, is not always the right choice. Again, that's why we're talking about those small changes you can make if you don't want to just completely overhaul your life immediately.
Yeah,
Um,
I dived in. I did, and we talked about episode one. Episode one, it's up. Check the show notes. Also, the book Meg talked about is in the linked in the show notes as well. But yeah, I jumped in both feet too. But and that's the thing about it is, I think one thing I want to mention is that some vegans will kind of attack if you do the baby steps. If you kind of make these slow transitions. Even like you and I could get called apologetic vegans or vegan apologists because we do
there you
support
go.
like a small step, taking small steps, or you may have a disease where you can't go full vegan, you have to be vegetarian like that. And I just let that roll off my back. It's like, okay, I'm a realist and understanding that some people can go, yeah, cheese is out, meat's out, dairy's out,
Right.
let's go, we got this. And some people are like, okay, it's taking a little bit of time, meatless Mondays, weekday veg.
Exactly.
And that's actually something I know I want to kind of touch on because we haven't, before we go into the pieces, going to spring a topic on you. You know
Go
me,
for it.
got to keep you on your toes. A little bit, there are some ideologies of making that transition.
Right.
Meatless Monday is probably the most common one people hear. Um,
And I think that's accepted by everyone. Like I know people that are not any way vegan, like not even close, but they'll do a meatless Monday or a meatless meal throughout the week. And those are those little small changes that we love because even that one meal that makes a difference, not
oh,
just for your
substantial.
health, but for, animals and the environment and all that. So those little tiny steps, meatless Monday, I love that. I don't think let me think. We definitely had some vegetarian meals before I went fully vegan. So, but I don't think I ever like purposely was like, we're just gonna eliminate meat in this dish. It would just kind of happen
Happen.
that way.
Yeah. I've seen some local restaurants do meatless Mondays. They have like a vegan option on Mondays and stuff like that before.
Did not know
Yeah,
that. I love
not your
that.
big chains, but your smaller
No.
mom and pop places like meatless Monday option because especially Atlanta is usually one of the top 10 places for vegans. So there's a market here for it. So they usually will have an option there. And the next one that I usually try to get people to at least start with is the if they don't want to jump all in is the weekday veg. Have you heard of weekday veg?
No. Explain.
So weekday veg is from sun up on Monday till sundown on Friday, plant based, vegan, 5 days a
Okay.
week. So when you get Saturday, when you wake up until when you go to bed on Sunday, do what you want.
Interesting.
And what a lot of people who are kind of iffy about it, not quite sure, what they start noticing is during the week they don't feel as heavy. They have less inflammation, things that are typical on a vegan diet. They're feeling better. They sleep better. They see these transitions. They go on the weekend. They're like, I feel heavier. I'm more bloated. And they notice that they can really have a really good compare and contrast because doing a a meatless Monday, you don't really have a really compare and contrast. Like, oh, that was cool. I didn't eat meat on
Right.
Monday. Now let's go eat steaks for 6 days. But if you have that really hard contrast between not doing it and doing it, you really see the benefits of it as far as how you feel, how you sleep, how your sleeping is, how you're breathing. You're even in the gym, you see like, wow, I've heard this from people like who've done weekday veg. Like I notice I recover faster and I'm
I
sleeping better.
almost I feel like that would be something I should recommend now. Like at first I was confused why that would make sense, but now that you've said it could you could compare so easily the difference that the different kind of food makes you feel. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be my new suggestion to people that are a little on board with going vegan and a little bit scared of it.
Yeah.
I love this idea.
And it gives opportunity to like learn how to change recipes, which we're going to talk about making those adjustments in your recipes and giving you some
Mhm.
ideas. But it gives you a chance to kind of like, okay, what do I do about cheese? I can't do cheese this week because it's a weekday veg. So it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is pizza night. What do we do? And it helps you understand how to make those adjustments.
Right.
So that's usually what I'm trying to. Everyone listening, I'm trying to talk slower. I'm sure everyone's like ears blew up in the first few episodes. Um, so I think if it gives you opportunity to learn how to make those adjustments, and when you see how much better you feel, and you see how much better you're responding, whether that be in the gym, if you're a person who works out or running, or with dealing with family and friends and things like that. And you go, okay, I can do this. I know how to do this. So I'm
Right.
gonna make it a 7 day a week thing.
They have like a literal real life example of the differences when they do it that way.
Yeah,
I really am interested. Okay. All right.
it's a bit of A/B testing.
Learning. There you go.
Yeah,
I literally
because you and I in the
thinking
tech
that
world, we
in my
know.
head a little bit.
You and I in the
Thinking
world, yeah.
marketing to me.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're only A/B testing 1/7 of your audience, you get no
Right.
data. But if you're testing,
I
five
see.
sevenths of your audience against what you normally do,
Yeah.
you can see, okay, did that really make a difference? Yeah, see, I got you.
Wow.
I know what's
Love
up.
it. Love it.
I
Love
know
it.
what's
Love
up.
it. Okay, so one easy tip that doesn't even involve you doing anything in your own kitchen is you can I put visit local restaurants, but let me just say you should get takeout from local vegan restaurants or vegan friendly restaurants because we are in a pandemic, folks. Just take the
Wow.
takeout. Don't sit in the restaurant. But there's absolutely a vegan or vegan friendly restaurant near you. And if you just want to order something from them, that is the easiest way to get your vegan meal without having to think about anything. And you get to try kind of the best of the best. They're trying to make that meal the greatest thing you've ever had. So I definitely recommend finding your local vegan friendly restaurant that you can get a little taste of what
Oh,
food offer. And we have tons of those in Atlanta. I want to go back out. What?
you wrote it a little bit, but we're back in, so I think we're good.
Okay.
It's okay.
I didn't even notice.
It's okay. I was like, we missed
It
like
didn't
two
do
words.
anything.
You're good. Hey man.
Oh,
Hey,
it
this
didn't
is
even do
we
anything
live.
outside.
We're live. Let's keep doing this. Get
Okay.
everybody got to see behind the scenes just then. So I
All
do.
right. So
Oh,
go ahead.
okay. So I do love the idea. It's a great way to kind of get introduced to maybe some new flavors or some new dishes, things like that. If you use Uber Eats, if you go to the search section of Uber, because I use Uber Eats, I order Uber Eats at least once a week, especially on Fridays when it's like the week is over, yay. If you go to the search section, and they have it kind of categorized, there is a vegan option in there, and it'll show you all the vegan restaurants on Uber Eats that will deliver to you. That's what I use. That way, I know where I'm going. And some of those aren't strictly vegan restaurants that are on that list. They're vegan friendly. So it also kind of helps you pare down like the stuff restaurants you may have gone to before you didn't know had an option. And a Happy Cow.
Exactly.
Happy Cow is a great website. It's also they have an app. I use that if I travel. I'm in like an area I'm not used to, whether in my own state or if I go out of state. I'm like, time for dinner. I can open up Happy Cow, and it'll tell me where they are located to me and where I am, and if they're vegan, vegetarian, if they have options, if it's a store not just a restaurant, but a store that has some
Right.
special options. So if you want to kind of venture outside and kind of try some new areas, I would recommend again Uber Eats. If you're using Uber Eats, there's a vegan category under your search, as well as using Happy Cow to find restaurants in your area you can go get takeout from until this all blows over.
Happy Cow has saved my butt so many
Oh man.
times. So many times. I don't think I could live without it. Okay, so one of our other small steps is replacing ingredients you use most often. So these are common staples that you may not even realize there are vegan versions for. So instead of a dairy butter, you would use a vegan version. And even big name brand companies have vegan butter. I mean, it's very easy to find. It's not hard. It's not like some random weird thing you have to look for. You can find it at Publix. Instead of using cow's milk, you can use cashew or almond or oat milk. I prefer cashew milk. It's my preference.
Do you really?
I do. Do you have a
Ah.
preference?
Oh, so this dish. Why do you prefer cashew milk? This is interesting to me.
I just feel like it's creamier. It
Heard that
almost
before.
feels like it's a little. It's not thicker, but it almost like feels a little bit more opaque, I guess, because like almond milk is so ew.
I feel like it's a little. Is it a little too dense, maybe, or is it too watery?
It's just, yeah, it's too watery. I
Yeah.
hate almond milk.
I.
Yeah, I'm a vegan who doesn't like almond milk.
Ooh,
What?
okay, all right. Gotta give me your card. No, I'm just kidding.
I much
Interesting.
prefer cashew. I like oat milk too. That's fine.
I have actually have oat milk right now in the fridge. I usually don't get oat milk. It was on sale.
Good.
What's funny about oat milk is oat milk, and I always get I always get a vanilla version of whatever I get because
Hmm.
flavor I like. It's a little added sugar, but I don't eat that much sugar anyway.
Right.
But oat milk tastes like cereal milk to me.
Oh yeah.
It tastes
Yeah.
like not like a certain brand of cereal, but like
Just
generic,
general.
general like. But this is does this have cereal in it? It tastes like legit cereal milk. It's like, this is crazy. I actually usually get soy milk,
Okay.
only because that is really the only milk that has naturally has protein in it.
Okay. That makes
Because
sense.
yeah, soy soy in general, um, it has is high in protein. So soy milk is one of the few that are actually higher in protein. And when we're not in a pandemic, I tend to work out a bunch. So I try to keep my protein high, especially since I'm not going to the gym like I used to.
Right.
I'm keeping my protein a little higher than normal. So I can maintain the muscles I do have, which is as much as I would like, but gotta stay average for the people. Uh,
Gotta stay average.
I
Well, I'm a pro at that.
don't know. Challenge, but
So if we're not talking about milk and we're talking about cream, now do you have a preference when it comes to your coffee creamer? Because that is a completely different story.
yeah. So I've tried a few. I know there's one brand. Was it Coffee Mate? They make they make one, and I tried that one. I didn't like. It's like an aftertaste I didn't like. That's the one you like,
Right.
actually, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silk makes
No, wait. Is mine the silk? No, mine's the coffee mate.
Here's the
You're
Coffee
right,
Mate.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it was okay.
Yeah,
I was like after that. There's I think it's silk. It's silk. It's the vanilla silk one.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
And I just like the consistency of it, and it doesn't
Right.
add any. It doesn't add. Is it like almost like enhances my coffee as opposed to like add flavor to it. It seems.
Right. We like to add flavors in our house, so
Yeah.
we definitely
I
like my husband prefers the vanilla one and I prefer the caramel flavored one. But I got hazelnut the other day and it tastes like it's alcohol. It tastes like I
oh
poured like
man.
amaretto in my coffee and I don't like it. It's too much.
Oh
Like I need to
man.
give it away to someone because
What
I'm never gonna drink it.
I never told you this. This is like live on the air or whatever.
No
So I
worries.
got coffee at your house once, and husband Todd was making it, and I was like, "Yeah, coffee, awesome, creamer, sounds great, vanilla, cool, awesome." And then I learned something that from how you guys make your coffees, that I should
Okay.
specify that I like coffee with my creamer,
Yes.
because like I legit, I was like, because like.
Joking, I'm gonna laugh.
I was fine. I drank it, no big deal. But like when I make coffee, it's like bloop bloop and that's it. Like my creamer, like I buy creamer like 3 times a year because I take so long to go through it.
Oh my god!
And I was like,
Tears.
I didn't because like I'm so used to making my own coffee. I didn't think about like what someone else would do. And I was like, oh man, this is like off
Creamer.
white. It's like it's eggshell.
It
That's,
is. What's hysterical is we met because I worked at Dunkin' Donuts and he would come in and get coffee, and that's how we met.
yeah.
So coffee's our thing, but not like full blown.
Yeah, because like I literally
Strong coffee.
no, because like I haven't when I make like I make a coffee I like to put creamer in the bottom like I mean literally like half a teaspoon to maybe a teaspoon of it like barely
Oh my
just enough
God.
to give it a little bit of sweetness and flavor to it, and then the rest of it's just coffee. So my coffee's almost completely black.
You were probably like, "What in the hell is this?
I went.
Is this dessert?"
I was like,
happening?
"You give me a cup of creamer? What the? Oh, okay." And again, I wasn't like this is bullshit, but I was just like, I never told you to like, okay, next time I gotta make sure. I was like, I want coffee, but I want coffee. I don't want like creamer with some like. Bloop. It's like opposite. Like he was like bloop 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 bloop, and then like coffee.
Oh man, wait till I tell him he's gonna crack up.
Okay, I know. People listening probably don't give a damn about this, but I think
it's so funny.
I think it's
to me.
hilarious.
It's so true.
How do you like your coffee, everybody? Let us know right in.
I mean, this is an important like statement about coffee. We actually talk about it a little bit further on in the podcast too. But one other thing that we use in our coffee is we use sugar in the raw, which you probably don't even put sugar in yours,
Nope,
do you?
I don't put sugar at all.
Okay. Well, then it was definitely not a good cup of coffee.
So that's interesting. What the
I can't.
I like to taste my coffee. Anyway, so what's interesting, you talk about sugar. I don't think we have this on here, but it's in talk about sugar. Oh, you do talk about sugar in the raw and grain sugar. Is to make sure your sugar is vegan. That's probably the hardest thing to do. Which interesting is the Kroger brand sugar.
Okay.
Is
of white sugar?
Yeah, there's the Kroger brand sugars are vegan. Like this thing's changed, so hopefully not. But yeah, they're like their brands are vegan though, surprisingly.
I literally am taking a note right now
Yeah.
because you did not know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, because I like to make like bake sometimes. So
right, and that would be very handy to have. Yes,
Yeah.
White granule sugar is not vegan, so you have to be careful with
Right.
that.
And to clarify, it's not vegan because it's clarified with bone char, and that's literally what you think it is.
Yeah, sounds tasty, huh?
Or
If we're gonna stay on kind of we were on the dairy track, there's instead of a dairy yogurt, there is a soy or almond yogurt. I think Silk makes one that I love. They make like a dark chocolate yogurt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good. So, and you honestly, they taste exactly the same. There's barely any difference. You won't notice. So you can definitely still have yogurt and be vegan. So these are things that I think people, when they're starting out, are like, oh god, I can't have anything. No, there's vegan.
and there's so many options now.
So what about bread? And I love this because it literally is almost your name. But my favorite kind of bread that is vegan, no egg, no dairy, is Dave's Killer Bread brand.
The thing in bread that really gets people egg and dairy, especially with a wash, like an egg wash, to kind of make it kind of all shiny and crunchy on the side, is honey.
Oh yes,
honey is the big get you. That's the one because some companies use molasses and some use honey as a sweetener. So when you're looking for your bread, honey's really going to get you more than anything else, I think.
But there are options, and you can definitely find Dave's Killer Bread just about anywhere. I mean, I've seen it at Publix, Kroger, everywhere, and he has all kinds. I say he is. I mean, it's got to be a Dave, right? I'm going to say he.
It's Dave.
He has all kinds of bread. There's also English muffins and bagels.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got you covered when it comes to carbs. So definitely look for that brand.
I've also found a lot of because I do like a nut or seed bread. When I get, cause it's kind of there's a lot of good fats and stuff in the nut seed bread, a lot of higher protein usually in them too, and those tend to not have honey in them. Not every time, but they're more than likely they don't. Also, I usually advocate for someone going for the nut or seed breads because they're usually whole wheat. They're a little healthier, again a little higher in better fats, a little higher in protein. Those usually don't use honey. They usually use a molasses, and I don't know if there's a reason for that in like the chemistry of bread making, but
Right.
I've usually found that usually something is whole wheat and just whole wheat. Usually it has honey in it. Again, I don't know if there's a reason for it. Again,
Yeah.
from a
So
chemistry
tricky.
standpoint, but yeah, it's usually once you go vegan, you find like your bread brand. You're like two or three. You're like, all right, that's mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you stick with it. Yeah. Okay, so instead of meat, there are convenient, quick options that you can gravitate towards. We will talk about different protein sources that aren't, just some kind of grab and go sort of thing. So I love all of the Guardians brands. So whether it's like the chicken strips or the nuggets or whatever, that's definitely my go to. There's all kinds of burger options. I mean, if you can't find a vegan burger option, then you're not looking because they're everywhere.
Oh man.
The amount, oh my gosh, it could be anything. Like there's so many versions of a burger now that has no meat in it, and it's not just like a old school veggie patty that was like a bunch of black beans smushed together. That's not it at all
I
anymore.
remember. I
Oh
remember
gosh.
there were no options. Like there were no options. Like none that
Right.
I could find, and I was making my own. Like you couldn't even like I didn't know what seitan was. We can get into those options in a bit if we want. Um, but I was literally making my own white bean and black bean burgers at home, and just you know, usually failing terribly. And they're
Right.
edible. They're just kind of like falling apart or like not
I
as
was
firm.
just gonna say, can never get them to stay together.
It's the only thing I get to stay together was oddly enough toasted quinoa. Did
Oh,
a really good job.
interesting.
It had some
Like a gum.
crunchiness I didn't really like, but it did really good. Toasted quinoa did a really good job for some reason. Never
Weird.
could get rice to do a good job though. And oat
No.
flour. Oat flour did a good job too. Those
Oh,
quinoa and oat flour are the only thing I could do anything good with. Um, but yeah, I remember having to make my own because there weren't any options. Now even like grocery stores like have their own brand. Publix has their
yes.
own. Kroger has their own. I mean, those are the two main stores I go to. But there's
Right.
Beyond Meat. There's Beyond Burgers. There's Impossible Burgers. And honestly,
There's
I could have.
Light Life.
I would take the whole entire episode time just naming all of the top burger options there are. So
I mean, we need to do a taste test.
we do, we really do.
I
And
mean, it's got to be on our list.
yeah. In fact,
Heaven forbid we have to eat like 7 burgers in one
oh
sitting.
no, oh no. My, in fact, my one of my meal prep for this week is the Trader Joe's turkeyless patties. Which, by the way, if you haven't tried them, definitely really good. But that's part of my meal prep this week. You
Oh.
haven't, it's really good. Oh,
Uh,
there you go.
oh.
Yep, there you go. You're coming in and out again. Just-
Um, I know, I see that. So there's a bunch of ingredients that you can replace with vegan options. I mean, these are just kind of the high level ones that we've talked about. There's ice cream that is dairy free. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can just easily, quickly find that will replace your non-vegan ingredients with some more plant-based versions.
right. And I kind of say replace the ingredient that you're used to with the animal product. And we're getting that a little more. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of us a little bit. But there's almost nothing that exists that can't be adjusted or replaced. You can be
Right.
like a smart ass and be like, "What about pork chops?" I'm like, "All right." I mean, there's a vegan butchers. There's vegan butchers online. You can order
There are.
sausages and pork chops and steaks from them that are plant based. But yeah, there's some you can like. Okay, you kind of have to go a little bit out of your way to do it. But generally speaking, I'm making this also this week from my meal prep is pasta bake, and I'm using Beyond Meat veggie crumbles. I'm making ricotta, tofu ricotta. And I'm using red lentil pasta. But like I've made that non-vegan, almost 10 years ago.
Right.
But it's the same thing. It's just replaced the couple things in it.
I have never made vegan ricotta. Is it really easy?
It's super easy. Yep,
Okay.
really easy. The only thing is, like you're supposed to use, I used to use lemon juice in it to get that kind of like that bite. But I just
Mhm.
use whatever vinegar I have in the house because it's making it for me.
Oh,
But
right. That makes sense.
I use apple cider vinegar or rice wine vinegar if I'm in a pinch.
Okay.
It's not the exact same bite as like the lemon sourness, Um, but yeah, it does the trick, especially if if you're making like a lasagna or some sort of pasta bake. Yeah,
Right. My youngest daughter loves ricotta, so if I can make a vegan version and get her to like it, that would
yeah,
be a big win.
super simple.
'Cause, I've gotten her to like a lot of options. Like we don't have
Yeah,
a lot of non-vegan options in the house, but that's like one thing I never try to replicate. So now you have me intrigued. I'm gonna
yeah.
have to try it.
Good. There's a great recipes all over Google. Pretty simple to make. If
Yeah.
you're new to veganism, Google is your friend.
It is absolutely. And that's a small step, just Google anything. It'll tell you. There are so many options out there to give you kind of this advice in a more specific way. If there's something very specific you're looking for. So, like, if there is a meal, this is our next little step that you love to make, and now that you're vegan, you're scared of how you're going to have that same meal. So, say you love mac and cheese. And this makes me think of my daughter because that's all she wants to eat every day, all the time. She's almost 16, not 12. So I don't understand. But anyway, mac and cheese you think could never be made vegan. And that's obviously not true. There's vegan cheese, there's cashew milk, there's plant based butters. You can make the same meal and make it vegan and just as delicious. So any meal that you crave that is like the go-to thing, it's almost 100% can be made vegan. So David, what's your go-to? What's the
Uh,
one meal when you first started that you were like, I have to make this vegan because I can't live without it?
um, I tried spaghetti, like a
Oh,
pasta.
okay.
That was that. Like there
Yeah.
are there's a few things that like we had growing up. I was like, 'cause my parents both worked. My mom would
Mm-hmm.
come home late, dad come home late, got to put food on the table, and spaghetti was kind of like that go to on a busy week. And it was something my mom would make a giant pot of, and that was also like it was
Right.
almost like meal prep before meal prep was meal prep. It was like I'm making a pot of spaghetti. We're busy this week. When you're hungry, get a bowl of it. And and
Exactly.
that was essentially dinner until it was gone because we're older. We got clubs and homework and work and house
Right.
stuff to do. So that was probably the biggest one. First starting out, it was again I didn't have the options. It was a little tough. So I used beans to kind of replace it because if you take beans and you kind of like not puree them, but you blend them a little bit and get them chopped up, they have
Right.
that same kind of like texture. I would use
Oh,
those just to kind of get the same texture. And then eventually there was some like veggie crumbles that came out, and I could use those. But that was probably like my go-to. And then like mac and cheese, and I kind of have my own way
yeah.
of. I have a weird way of making cheese sauce that no one else has ever heard of else done. Um,
Okay.
you've had it
You can't just
before.
say that. I know, but you can't just say that and not tell everyone
It's
else.
really weird. So I legit take a non-dairy milk, usually soy milk, because usually what I have in the
Okay.
house, and I heat it up. I can't tell you measurements because it just depends on how much I need to make. I just
Right.
eyeball it. So I usually get probably about like maybe a cup of it, maybe a little cup and a half, and get it kind
Okay.
of a light boil. And then I literally take my favorite vegan cheese, or again whatever I have in the house, usually Daya, which is like exactly. A lot of people hate Daya, and I totally get it, but it's everyone carries it, and unless you want to spend like vegan cheese can get pricey, so unless you want to spend a lot of vegan cheese that you're about to make a cheese sauce with, Daya is my go-to. So I literally just take a bunch of Daya and throw it in there until it's just like goopy and like
Right.
really thick, and then I take veggie stock and thin it out with veggie stock until
Okay.
it's like a good thick heavy cheese sauce, and then I put it on whenever I want.
That is so
That's literally it.
simple.
Non-dairy milk, my forever favorite vegan cheese I happen to have, and thin it out with veggie stock. I made it up.
Interesting.
I
I
use
love
that.
it.
You've had my my bacon chili mac, right? That's
Oh,
how I
yes,
make
I
it. That's
have.
how I make the cheese sauce. And then I just throw
So
my
good.
seasonings in the cheese sauce and mix it up, throw it on the pasta, and do vegan bacon on it, and I do like my veggie medley, and there you go. My brother Taylor, not vegan, and a boy can put some food away. He had a giant bowl at like I think 4th of July, and he was just throwing down spoonfuls. This is really good. What is it? I said that's a bacon chili mac. I made that. He had this
And
puzzled
he's like,
look,
shit.
and he was like, he was confused because he's a meat eater. He was like, the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, that's vegan bacon. It's not, it's vegan cheese. And He was like, okay, it's good. He just kept going to town. But you have my brother, who is not a vegan, who, has no real interest in like seeking it out. Got a big bowl of it, was eating it, and had no clue.
Right.
It was literally soy milk, Daya, which you made a sound to, and a little bit of veggie stock to thin it out with some spices. And he had no clue. He was eating a giant bowl of it.
And see, that's a simple change. That's
Yeah.
just a meal you love that you can easily make vegan. We're not saying you have to do something crazy and elaborate with some ingredients you've never heard of before. It's simple stuff. I think you're gonna ask me what mine was.
No, I'm saying what I want to say was, and that's next. Oh, I said that too. But I think that's a common misconception of, okay, I gotta go vegan now, whatever. And what do I do? Like, how do I do this? Okay, and I gotta start eating quinoa and barley and and raw kale and just cold tofu. Just no. I tell everyone, what do you like? I like lasagna. I like pizza. Freaking awesome. Get a pizza.
Right.
Put vegan cheese on it. Put whatever veggies you want, and replace the meat. There's vegan pepperoni. There's vegan sausages. There's vegan chicken, as you mentioned. There's gardein, things like this. Just replace the animal part. You can have literally any food you already eat. You just replace the animal piece of it. That's it. And that's literally how I cook.
I wish I had looked it up, but I just recently had a plant-based pepperoni, and I cannot remember the brand of it, but it was so authentic and amazing. It was wrapped up.
I meant to ask you how that was. I was with you when you bought it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What brand was that? Was it the No Evil?
It wasn't No Evil Foods. I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember what it was, but it was
Whole Foods.
insane. It was so authentic. I did make pizza with it for sure. It was amazing. So yes, pizza is definitely easy to make vegan, and you can also order pizza that is vegan, not from major chains because they suck, but there's mom and pops. Well, I mean, Mellow Mushroom, I guess, is kind of a major chain. You can get it from them, but pizza is an easy thing to make vegan. You don't have to miss out on that.
I even make vegan steak. That takes a little more work, a little more know-how. Feel free to Google vegan steak. But I make vegan steaks. Like on 4th of July, I make vegan steaks. I have these Beyond sausages, sweet potato, and cornbread. I go all. I know the typical cookout holidays. I go to town just like I did when I was younger.
Right.
So yeah. So what? Well, to go back to the question, what was your thing you had to veganize at the beginning that was your deal?
It's a recipe you've had. My shepherd's pie. It is my favorite.
I've never had your shepherd's pie.
You have, because it was at a book club. I had a whole thing of it, a whole entire thing, and you've been to every book club we've had.
Oh, then I have.
You have. So yes.
I was trying to trick you. I was trying to trick you to make it again so I can have some more. As always.
I bet I had shepherd's pie a lot when I was a kid because it's an easy meal. Just, vegetables, mashed potatoes, and some meat in the bottom. It's basically it.
That's my go-to meal prep.
Well, yeah, basically. But I made it vegan very easily. Add some lentils, some, crumbles, vegan crumbles. Add some follow your heart cheese, which is way better than Daya, but that's fine, whatever. And a ton of veggies. And I just make my own vegan version. My family destroys my shepherd's pie. They freak out over it. They love it. And it's another easy recipe that you can make vegan. Again, there's nothing you really can't. Like David was saying, you can make steak, which kind of leads us into replacing your protein source with some easy to find, tasty vegan options. That could be tofu. Yeah, it's the first one everybody thinks of when they think of vegans. They think that's all we eat. Like if I said the word tempeh, most people would have no idea what I'm talking about. And tofu can be amazing. My older 19-year-old daughter loves tofu. Has since she was a little girl.
So two quick tofu hacks for anyone who's not used to tofu or they're getting into it and they're like, I don't know if I like this or not. First off, tofu generally has no flavor. It's whatever you put on it. much like rice.
Like a
Does it? Rice has they have flavors, but
sponge.
yeah, it's a sponge, and rice just soaks up whatever you dump on it. Same thing with tofu. So first off, the
Mm-hmm.
more firm the tofu, the less squishy it's going to be because there's less water. Some places like Trader Joe's is
Right.
one place I found it, but also some Asian markets have extra firm tofu, and that's extremely firm. And I would kind of I would say the texture is more chicken like because it's more dense. So if you want something, if you don't
Yes.
like the squishiness or you don't need that in what you're making, I would say find the extra firm if you can find it. Another hack, which I haven't done, but I know people who have and have loved it this way, freeze it first.
I have done that
Okay, please. Okay, I want you to expand on that.
once.
Okay, how was that? Because I heard it's really good. I haven't had a chance to do it because I'm not patient enough.
It is really, really good. Yeah, exactly. The being the patient part of it, the fact that I remembered to one freeze it and then remembered to take it out in time was a freaking miracle. I don't
Yeah.
know that I can do it again, but freezing it definitely helped when it thawed. Like I could get the water out a lot easier, and it was like so much kind of fluffier instead of squishy, if
Mhm.
that makes any sense. It worked exactly the way they said it would work. Again, it is, you do have to think ahead, but you had to think ahead when you ate meat and had to take meat out to thaw, so why is it any different? Just throw that tofu in the freezer,
Fair point.
take it out before at the beginning of the day, it'll be ready for you when it comes time to cook. Those are good hacks though. That
Yeah,
extra firm tofu is a game
it really is.
changer.
That's probably the biggest thing is people talk about. They don't like the texture. Oh, it's all squishy, and that's I think most people that I've like my dad who's had my dad is I've given up on him. He's not making that transition, but he's had tofu. Like, I don't like it. It's all just gooey and squishy, and I'm like, okay, well, somebody didn't cook it right. Obviously, it was just
Exactly.
watery. They didn't press it. But if you're like that, and you're someone who is like that, I would go for it. The more firm it is, the more dense it's going to be, and the more it's going to have more of a meatier texture, for lack of a better phrase.
There are other options for your protein source
Quite a few.
besides tofu if you're like just against it. There is tempeh, which I prefer. I know you prefer, different options, but I prefer tempeh.
I
I
like tempeh.
do.
I like tempeh.
I do too. I just like I like the texture. I like the like more nutty flavor of, the
Mhm.
tempeh. You can make it into like bacon and stuff. I mean, there are a lot of different options with tempeh that you can't do with like tofu.
For anyone who hasn't had tempeh before or know what it is, it's essentially a fermented soy brick, which sounds terrible. It's like fermented soy, which is actually a good place to get your good place to get B12 and probiotics.
There you go.
That's very important in anyone's diet, regardless of if you're omnivore or you're following a plant-based diet. Both of those are very important for gut health and just overall. Usually B12 is good for making repairing cells and things like that. But fermented foods is extremely healthy for gut health, and that's essentially what it is. It does have that nutty, earthy flavor to it,
It really does.
and some people love it. Some people are a little turned off by it. I had a friend of mine who was who was going vegan. Actually, think he still is. I think he's made the full transition. He's still following it. But tempeh was his nemesis because he wasn't really into tofu, and I was like, "Oh, try tempeh." And he was, "How do you cook it?" And I was like, I was like, "Well, cook it kind of like how you would like a steak or like a meat, where you would marinate." I kind of gave him a loose example because I thought,
Right.
okay, he knows what I mean. He didn't know what I mean, so he literally just cooked it as it was, just like
Raw, like
raw.
just plain?
And I'm like, and some people will eat. Some people could eat. You can eat tempeh just out of the package. It's perfect. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't
Oh
hurt
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
But he's not used to it. He was straight omnivore going right in. And again,
no.
if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And he was like, "Dude, I can't eat this. How do you eat this? It tastes terrible." And I was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "No, man, no. Tempeh, you gotta season that bad boy. Like, I don't really
We
like,
do.
I don't really like the nutty flavor of tempeh. I like the texture of it.
Right.
So what I tell most people to do is to steam it first. That kind of softens it up and it kind of opens up a little bit. Then put whatever marinade you want on it, and really anything, whatever. Again, tempeh, a lot like tofu. Mostly, it pretty much absorbs what you put on it. But
Right.
steaming it kind of opens it up to absorb any flavor. I would marinate it for 15, 20 minutes minimum. I would say usually
Yeah.
what I do, and then cook it how you want. Whether it's bake it on the grill, air fry it. I love my air fryer. I air fry everything.
I
Um,
haven't air fried tempeh
no,
yet.
it's so good.
I've
So
air fried tofu and it's like
so
amazing,
good,
but
right?
ooh,
My favorite thing with tempeh right now in the air fryer is I get the chicken seasoning from Trader Joe's.
mm-hmm.
It's so you ever had it yet? It tastes like
Oh my
ramen.
God, it's amazing.
Excuse me. So I would do that. I basically steam it and I cut into strips, and then I season
Mm-hmm.
it with the chicken flavor stuff and I air fry it, and it turns into almost like tempeh chicken fingers.
Oh my gosh.
So good, so good.
What a great idea.
I'm serious.
Okay,
There's a
I'll
fat
have
kid
to
in me
try
at all
this
times,
out.
so I know these tricks.
I just got so excited.
Yeah. So that's again. I love sharing these little little tips and tricks. Mix two words there for everybody. Because again, I've been doing this for almost 10 years at this point. So kind of these little things of steam your tempeh before you marinate it. It'll open it up to absorb those flavors, and then cook it how you want. But if you have a problem with the nutty flavor of tempeh, season it, marinate it first. It makes it a lot more palatable and easier to eat, and I like the texture of it. That's what I really like. I've also used it as a meat replacer as far as grinding it up,
Oh yes,
and
I've
using
done that
that
too.
instead of like a veggie crumble. I wanted a
Mm-hmm.
more like whole food option because tempeh is considered a whole food if you're going to whole food plant based. And I would just put it in a food processor, zap it a few times to crumble it up, saute it for a little bit, season it, and then use it like you would ground any type of ground meat.
That's a great idea. Oof. Now you're making me hungry.
I haven't eaten dinner yet either, man. So
Well, why don't you talk about your favorite
yeah.
protein
All right. So
source?
seitan, this is my thing. So seitan, if you have an issue with gluten with wheat, this is not an option for you. This is 100% straight up wheat. So if you have celiac disease or you have to follow a gluten-free diet, this is not an option for you. Want to see out the gate. Um, I don't have those options, so I go to town on it. I actually have a giant, like 4 pound bag of Vital Wheat gluten downstairs. So what seitan is it's almost like you're making bread. You basically make like a bread dough, and then you rinse it off. And basically, when you really rinse it and rinse it and rinse it, you're getting rid of all the starches. So all you're left with is a ball of pure wheat protein. It's the gluten. You have the full wheat protein sitting in your hand. You can buy Vital Wheat gluten, which all it is a powdered vat. They literally make the ball of pure wheat protein, powder it, and then you mix it with water and seasonings. So I usually put lentil in it to give it kind of like a like the meatier steak kind. That's how I make
Mm-hmm.
my steaks. I put lentils in it. You can also use chickpeas or chickpea flour and get kind of a chicken flavor out of it and a chicken texture from it. But I mix some sort of bean or legume into it. Water, nutritional yeast, salt, pepper, garlic. If I want it to be spicier, I may put like chili powder in it, things like that. You can steam it, and it'll expand when it cooks. You can also if you don't want to get too big, you can like wrap it in aluminum foil and boil it, and then it won't expand as much. It'll be a
Oh,
little more
interesting.
dense. You can also make ribs out of it. That's another way I love using seitan. I love seitan. It's my go-to. I have a giant bag downstairs for a reason.
Literally
You
haven't had
can
it in so long.
you
That's
can
why you're talking about it.
you can actually put it in a dish and press it out and bake it, and then cut it into little strips. Barbecue it, bake it again. You have vegan barbecue ribs, and it is super creepy. That's something else I had growing up a lot. My mom was like always making ribs. That was her like big like barbecue go-to thing. It's gross as hell,
Right.
but So that's something I when I started making my own seitan, that's one of the first things I made was barbecue ribs. That was something I made growing up. Yeah,
I have to
seitan
try
is so.
this.
I'm probably talking too fast to this because that's my go-to like protein, and I bought like a 4 pound bag of Vital Wheat gluten on Amazon for like $15. And for clarification, everyone talks about veganism is so expensive. That will probably make about 30 servings for $15.
Super cheap. See?
And it's like 20 to 30 grams of protein.
You can't
per
beat that.
serving. Like if unless you're like trying to build muscle and like in the gym, that's almost your entire like protein needed for the whole day in one block of protein.
Right.
So that's my
And
favorite go-to.
it's so all these options are so versatile. Like they can be used in so many different ways. Like the
Cuisines. Yeah.
tofu can be like a egg scramble or it could be barbecued tofu. I mean, there are options for all of them. I know I just got you excited saying barbecue tofu,
Yeah.
didn't I?
No, the tofu scramble. I don't know if you've done this yet, but this is the pro tip. This is
Okay.
this is my this is my tip. Um, if you're doing a tofu scramble to replace eggs, and you want that kind of sour bite, that kind of like egg stinkiness that comes along with it, uh, mustard. Add
I've
mustard.
heard that. And what's the other black? Is it black salt or
Black salt. Yeah,
something
black
like that?
salt has a
Yes.
sulfur to it.
Hmm.
Uh, I I haven't used it. I haven't used black salt.
Me neither.
I mainly because I would only use it for that, and I don't do tofu scrambles that
Exactly.
often. Um, but you can always also there's just egg. People put it in just egg, which you love just
So
egg. That's
good.
your jam.
I just
Um,
had some yesterday.
I
It
saw
was
you
so
sent me a picture.
good.
So good. But mustard. It has it'll add to the yellow flavor, the yellow color. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Put the turmeric in it, but the spices and the vinegar that is in the mustard adds that kind of eggy flavor to it, and without affecting the actual texture and the moisture of it. So that's a little pro tip if
Um,
you're making scrambled egg burgers.
you can says that aren't or tempeh or seitan. You can do lentils. Now I add lentils to like everything. I mean, you can use them in literally anything. I add lentils to my shepherd's pie, to soup, to any kind of like rice veggie casserole kind of mixture. I mean, they're just kind of like a an earthy filler is what I think of them as.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Literally. You can like pump up the protein and the like the thickness and earthiness when you add some lentils to a meal. Um, then you can also do like edamame, which oh man, I don't know that I could. I think I could eat that all day, every day, constantly. Like just give me in the shells too, so I have to like suck them out of the. That that's that bad to say?
I don't know, man. I I real quick to go back to lentils. I know
Okay.
I'm sure all the listeners know at this point I can ramble and derail everything. But lentils I consider like a essentially like it's I'll consider it a cheat code in veganism.
There you go.
Here's
That's
why.
perfect.
Here is why. This is what's crazy about it. Lentils have an abundance of almost all amino acids.
Ooh.
Like I pulled it up. I pulled up a serving of lentils, literally a serving of canned lentils, and it has almost your entire need of folate. Has a ton of folate, a ton of iron, and it has all. And as far as its amino acid makeup, almost every single amino acid is either at or past the 50% mark.
That's amazing.
If you're worried about protein, your amino acids, stuff like that, lentils is your cheat code. That is your 1-2. If I'm ever, because I love tracking my macros and my macros and my micros and my macros. Not required. I enjoy the. If you're a vegan, don't worry about that unless you think you're missing something. Um, but whenever I'm like, I could use a little more of this, I just throw lentils in, jacks my numbers
Mm-hmm.
up, and I go, cool, meal planning is done. But anyway, lentils I would consider lentils and really tofu, but primarily lentils is a cheat code if you want to like just jump your protein up. I mean, a serving of lentils is almost 20 grams of protein.
I mean, you can't beat that.
Seriously,
It's amazing.
if you're just not really about building muscle or not highly active, and you make sure you're getting your protein for the day, seitan and lentils that will hit probably most of your targets for a day. Again, it depends on your gender, your body type, your weight, your
Right.
height, all that stuff. Neither one of us are doctors, but I would suggest using like an app to see where your numbers are if you're interested in that. But yeah, lentils is a cheat code. But anyway, go ahead. Edamame, which is also soybeans. Continue.
Right. And then any beans. In general, any bean that you like will definitely give you some protein as well. I'm a big into making chickpea salad sandwiches,
I haven't done
almost
that
like a
yet.
I know. Every time you tell me that, it makes me confused because I feel like it's like such a very typical vegan meal.
It is, yeah.
Um, if you grind up some chickpeas, put some vegan mayo in there, some seasoning, it literally will taste like tuna fish to you. So I mean, like my children love it because it is so authentic tasting. I can't handle any vegan tuna. I've tried those options. That's not my thing. So chickpeas are, oh my God, they're so good. Put them on like a sandwich with some tomatoes. Mm-mm-mm. It's 10 o'clock at night and I'm hungry.
Dude,
This is what you're doing to me.
I haven't eaten dinner either, so trust me.
Well, I
See,
did eat dinner. I shouldn't be
you
hungry
see,
again.
listeners, you see what we do for our fans.
We
We
sacrifice.
sacrifice
Torture ourselves.
for you. What
Oh
are so we've
God.
gone through our proteins and that.
All
What
right.
are some staples? Some things we should really have in our pantries in this case.
Things you should stock up on
Yeah.
when you are making these little changes. Nutritional yeast.
Oh
Oh
man,
man.
nooch, nooch. Oh, it's also called vegan
Ah,
crack in the vegan world.
yes.
I can't remember who it was. There was it was uh, John Stewart. John Stewart did a whole thing about he had a whole thing to talk about nutritional yeast because he and his wife own a farm
Oh
sanctuary.
my gosh. Yes,
And
they
she
do.
she's been a long time vegan, and he's gone vegan as well. And you can find it on YouTube, John Stewart nutritional yeast. But he had this whole like, why didn't you people tell me about nutritional yeast? This is amazing. So what? I talk a lot. I want you. What is nutritional yeast? What is that?
Hold on, I'm writing a note now because I have to find this video
It's
now.
really funny. It's good.
Okay. Nutritional yeast. Okay, so I use it as it gives you B12, which is a definitely something that vegans need to focus on because it's something that we are deficient in. Everyone is deficient in, but something we have to focus on. So if you put nutritional yeast on literally anything and everything, you'll be good to go. And I do. I put it on everything, whether it's avocado toast or in mac and cheese, literally anything. I will sprinkle that crap on. What is that? What's the old lady when she says the hot sauce commercial? Do you know what I'm saying? She was like, put this shit on everything. Do you know what I'm
I
talking about? You know what
no,
I'm
but
talking about?
no, but it sounds amazing.
People listening do. There's like a commercial where this old lady just says about hot sauce. She's like, I put this shit on everything. Well, that's what I do with nutritional yeast. And my family now is a little addicted to the point where can I get can I get it in like a big Costco size? Because I
Yeah,
need it in a big like
yeah.
okay. Because I haven't been
Um,
able to find it at Sam's, but
Sprouts
I
actually
need
sells it in big bags. We saw it in Sprouts. Remember the big bag of Sprouts?
yeah, I need it bigger than that though.
Whole
Like
Foods also.
literally.
Okay, Whole Foods when we can do bulk because we can do bulk right now.
Yes. No. Ew.
They have tubs of it.
Oh
I used to
yes.
fill up a bag of it at Whole Foods. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to do that because I go
it's really
out of it
cheap
so
too.
quickly.
Nutritional yeast is a really cheap staple to have.
It definitely is. And you can find it again, like we just said, you can find nutritional yeast anywhere. And it's like usually in the seasoning or the baking area, depending on whichever grocery store you're in. But
How would you describe the flavor of it?
cheesy. It tastes cheesy to me. Does it not taste cheesy to you?
Yeah, I do. I put it on. I like putting on popcorn. Have you not
Ooh,
done
I don't
that?
really eat popcorn. I don't eat popcorn like
Okay.
ever,
Yeah.
but that sounds
I rarely do.
delicious.
Usually, if I do, I like make it on the stove because like fresh popcorn like on the stove is so good.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but
Oh, that's a
yeah,
great
it's
idea.
good on popcorn. Or really, anytime I make like some sort of like burrito bowl or tacos or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, that's I just douche it.
Just douche.
I don't know. I grew up saying it as like basically as a term for like just like put it all over, and I don't know if that's appropriate, but that's what I grew up saying. And I'm from the South, so I say stuff I shouldn't say half the time.
But you can literally think of nutritional yeast almost like the seasoning, like a salt or pepper. You just literally put it on
Yeah.
everything because it adds an amazing extra flavor, cheesiness,
Yeah.
just like a really amazing little flavor, but it also gives you again that B12 that you're lacking. So you should definitely immediately find you some. And you can find it on Amazon too. It's not like you have to go to a store to find
I
nutritional
bought it at
yeast.
Kroger. Kro-
You can.
Kroger has their own brand of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Kroger's kind of stepping up
it's like
their
2 or 3 bucks.
vegan
It's
game.
super cheap. Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, another vegan staple that you should collect, which we just started talking about, were lentils. You can buy those again. You could buy them in bulk when we're back in the bulk world, but you can buy just like a big bag. They come in bags of lentils, and then just
They
keep
can.
those as a staple in your pantry. And if they're ever on sale, this is my mom tip.
Oh.
If they're ever like a BOGO at Publix or something, buy as many as you can afford because they're, you're going to use them constantly because we just told you how amazing
Yeah.
lentils are, so you have to use them. um and you can buy dry beans the same way as you would lentils in the big bags to keep as a staple that you always have available. So when you're like searching for something to make at night, you already have those lentils, you already have some beans, you already have your nutritional yeast to make it cheesy. um Another staple, I definitely have a bunch of canned beans in my pantry right now. Every kind of bean you can think of, I have cans of them. Again, just as like a quick grab and go kind of staple that you have there. What are some of your staples that you definitely have?
Um, I always have rice on hand.
Yeah,
I
that's a
always
good one.
rice. That's probably my biggest one. Keeping rice, quinoa on hand, especially for the big seitan. I do a lot of seitan as we talked about. So I have a
Right.
big bag of vital wheat gluten. And that's my go to if in the middle of the day and I'm like I need something to eat and I don't really have um, uh, any time. Uh, I can make a single serving of seitan, like a quick seitan steak thing. I can make it really quick. I can
Right.
also have like a sandwich press thing that a George Foreman grill. So I'll make a really
Oh,
simple one. I'll make one single serving instead of steaming it. I'll just cook it direct. It's not as like fluffy. It's a little more tough doing it that way, but it's a go to. So I can make that pretty quick. And frozen veggies.
yes, lots of
I
frozen
have
veggies.
bags and bags of like veggie medleys, which is like corn and peas
Mm-hmm.
and carrots and green beans and mushrooms, all that stuff mixed in with it. It's because you can have it as a side. You can make like a stir fry out of it. But yeah, that's because you hit the proteins. I'm not trying to things aren't too much of proteins because you hit those really
Right.
heavily. Those are really that's really good. But I would I would say if you're new to veganism and you're not quite sure what to do, need something in a pinch, is to keep in the house for when you're hungry. Uh, Bags of different types of veggies. Frozen veggies are relatively cheap. You get a
Yeah, and they don't have to, you don't have to pick the fresh veggies. Like they can be frozen. Like don't be afraid and
so
think you
that's
have to pick fresh.
and that's what's interesting because frozen veggies are actually picked ripe on the vine and they're flash
Mm-hmm.
frozen. Where the fresh veggies you get in the produce area, that was actually picked before they were ripe on the vine, and they ripened as they in transport and sitting on the shelf. So if you want to get technical, you're going to get slightly better, not a lot, but your nutrition, your
Right.
vitamins and minerals are a little bit better in frozen because they're ripe on the vine. They're flash frozen, and there's no aging involved really in them. However, you're going to lose texture.
Right.
So if you need like a crunch or like broccoli, like I'm doing a pasta bake and I'm putting broccoli in mine. I got frozen because I don't need it to be all like fresh and crunchy, whatever. Because I'm just
Right.
gonna saute it with a bunch of stuff, put it in the oven, make it hot. But if you
Make
need,
it hot.
if you need like the crunchy carrots and the crunchy, you need the actual texture. Get fresh. Otherwise, you're gonna have mushy vegetables, and it's gonna turn you off and like not want to eat it. You may fall off the wagon. Um, so yeah, I would say just rice, quinoa, things you can make pretty easily, and frozen veggies. And
And that's another thing you can get if it's BOGO is those frozen
oh
veggies.
man,
Like if you see those on sale, you again grab all the ones that you think are appetizing that look good to you. Because in a pinch, you're going to need to be able to grab things quickly
yeah,
because we are talking about being the average vegan, not someone who makes, a 5-course, 3-hour meal. Like
right,
we're talking, how can you do this quickly and
yeah.
continue on with your life? Like we're not trying to impose too much on our lives when it comes to cooking things. So these staples will definitely help you when you're just kind of want to grab and go. Um, all right, so my next tip is my favorite. Because again, we're going back to coffee. So ordering at your favorite coffee shop. can now seem very daunting if you're going vegan. I did not have coffee from like Starbucks for at least 4 months after I went vegan because I didn't know what to get. I was scared they weren't going to listen if I said to put, some other kind of milk in there. I thought they would just, screw me over, and I just didn't have any. And finally, one day I was just like, okay, I got to ask my vegan friends. And I asked Karen, I was like, tell me, please, what can I have? I
Yeah, because
can't go any longer
she's
without
a
coffee.
coffee fiend just like you are. Yeah.
She is, yes. So I'm going to tell you kind of what I like to get at Starbucks so you can see that there are options. There are limitations. You should always do some research before you order from a coffee shop because there are hidden bits of dairy in just about everything. I get coconut milk in my coffee at Starbucks. Now, we just went over how I like cashew milk. But at Starbucks, their coconut milk is like super thick and like super creamy, and it makes my coffee
And
delicious.
it's also
Um,
coconut milk. It's not.
it's not
It's yeah.
really.
There's for those who are watching us, which would be creepy. I did air quotes because it's like I know people who worked at Starbucks and they're like, it's not coconut milk.
No, I don't even like coconut milk.
Yeah, neither.
But I like it in my coffee. But you can definitely ask some of the baristas like what options are vegan friendly, but you should have your knowledge beforehand because they're not always well versed in that. So I can't have my white chocolate mocha that I
Mm.
used to have that automatically has dairy in it. The pumpkin spice at Starbucks automatically has dairy in it. But I get a hazelnut iced coffee with coconut milk, and it's delicious and simple. There's not some crazy stuff in it. And then I got that idea from someone on the Vegan Atlanta group that told me this option because I think I went on there and was like, someone please tell me what I can have at Starbucks because I think the option Karen gave me was like a chai tea, which is what you get or something. And I'm not down. That's
Nah,
not
I
my
used to. I
thing.
don't get that anymore.
Oh, okay, you've moved up in the
No, because
world.
the they switched to chai with honey in it.
Ew.
Yep, so I can't get any more.
Oh, that makes me
Eh,
sad.
life goes
Um,
on. That happens.
so there's definitely non-dairy milk options that you can get at your local little favorite coffee shop. I have a little inside thing. My daughter just went to Dunkin' the other day, Dunkin' Donuts, and she got their new oat milk in her coffee because she doesn't like having dairy in her coffee anymore. I wonder where she
Well
got
done.
that
Well done.
influence from. That's weird.
Good. Good. Let the veganism flow through you.
That's right. So she got oat milk and she said it was delicious. I have stopped going to Dunkin' Donuts because they only had almond milk, and we've gone over how I don't like almond milk. But now that there's oat milk option, they may get my business again. Um,
The thing, most places, especially Starbucks, most even small coffee shops have a soy milk option.
yes,
That is
almost
so.
every
Yeah.
place I've been to, yes. What's funny is I told you my husband and I met because I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. And yet I
Oh yeah.
stopped going there because
Yeah.
all they gave me was freaking almond milk. And I was
Right.
like, you obviously don't care.
And I know we've talked a lot about soy, just kind of a side thing. We talked a bit about soy, and there's some misconceptions about soy, which I won't get into now because I can get derail the entire conversation. But we have a misconceptions episode coming up in the future, so please look out for that, and we'll address some of the soy issues that are non-existent. So I don't take away from the coffee conversation, but I know we've said edamame and tofu and tempeh. That's a
Right.
lot of soy. So, but yeah, stay tuned for our misconceptions episode. It'll enlighten a lot of these little weird things that you probably have heard.
It's going to be a fun one.
Right.
Okay, so we have a few more little tips and then we'll round this up. But one of my other ones is try a new ingredient or a new recipe each week because then you make it fresh. You're not eating the same things because you're like, oh, I can eat this. I'm just going to eat this every day forever. You're trying something new, something different. And the new ingredient can be fun because if you go to a farmer's market or something, you may see something that you've never tried before. And I'm going to tell you the weirdest story right now. You're going to think I'm lying, but I'm legit.
You're lying.
One of my daughter's teenage friends came over. It was a boy, and he had never had cauliflower before. and he was 18 years old. What sentence did I just say? Where do I live? What is happening? So
Georgia.
I had buffalo cauliflower just on the like I had just made some and I had some left over. And Kaylee went right over to it and started eating the whole thing. And I was like, calm down, lady.
Bring it
That's
down a
my
notch.
food. And then he went over and he's like, what's this? And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
oh
oh, child.
no. He
Here's
ate the whole thing.
really.
Loved it.
Wow.
Loved it. He was like, "This is amazing. Can you make more for me?" I'm like, "No, but
No.
you should really try some other things in life."
So
Never had
and
cauliflower.
only in a few instances, like buffalo wings, because cauliflower is usually used as buffalo wings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like cauliflower.
You don't have to like it, but at least you've tried it.
Oh yeah, the flavor cauliflower doesn't have much of a flavor to me. It's fine.
No.
But when it's like just cooked, like here's some cauliflower, it's like it just kind of crumbles. It's like somebody took broccoli and took all of like the flavor and the moisture out of it, and
Took
it
all the
just
fun out of it.
yeah, it's like this is broccoli. This is broccoli without the joy. I don't know.
It's the sad cousin.
I think some people love it, and that's fine. I'm just like I can eat it. If you had it and it was a side, I would eat it. But I'm like not happy about it.
Oh my god!
So I took all the fun out
We
of
should
out
have
of
a whole
broccoli.
episode of vegan the things that we don't like to eat
Yeah,
that just limit what we can eat.
right.
There's quite a
Grapefruit.
few
I like
vegetables.
grapefruit.
Oh,
But
grapefruit is disgusting.
But yeah, I totally agree with
No.
the new ingredient. That's what that's what I did at the beginning actually, which is funny. We have this episode. I did that a lot in the
Mm,
beginning. A lot of people say that their diet is more diverse when they went vegan because it opened their eyes
mm-hmm.
up and opened them up to eating fruits and vegetables they wouldn't have tried before. And
Right.
that's a game I used to play. I would go to Asian market or Whole Foods or Publix and just like I'm gonna find a vegetable I never had before and I'm going to
Right.
buy it and then find out what to do with it. I've had some stuff that I should not have had. That was terrible.
Okay.
I bought things that weren't what I thought they were. Like, you ever seen the Buddha hand? Looks like a lemon
Okay.
with
Yeah.
like the droopy lemon. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna make something with this. You can make nothing with that. It is a useless vegetable. It's good for zesting if you're like making some sort of some sort of weird like lemon flavored thing. But it's good for zesting.
Okay.
It's also good for decoration. But there's no
That's about it.
there's no like inside to it. It's basically a giant rind. I didn't know that. So I bought this and was like I'm gonna make some sort of lemon thing. It's gonna be like it looks like a lemon. It was not. It was nothing like lemon, and it was a giant rind, and it was pointless. And I bought something stupid, but I learned, and I turned a learning experience. I've had some
Oh
really
no.
weird squashes. Like I bought at farmers markets. They were just like, "What is this thing?" And I just bought it, and it was really good. I don't know,
See, you
but
just
I
never
agree.
know.
Yeah, it's great. You open yourself up so much more to new flavors and ideas and spices and fruits and vegetables and that you would never have. Pumpkin leaves. You eating pumpkin leaves?
Okay.
Pumpkin leaves are super good.
What do they taste like?
It tastes. I would compare it to a collard green, but not as
Oh,
but a little spicier and not as strong in flavor.
okay.
Um, you have to peel them, which is
I'm so
weird.
confused.
You literally like take the stem of it and you kind of get the top of it, kind of pick the top of like the stem is, and you pull it, and the
Right.
top layer of the leaf comes off, and it removes like all the little hairs on top of the leaf, and then you
What the
just
fuck?
chop it up and you just steam it or boil it, whatever you want to do, like you do with greens. It's really really good. I never would have
Okay.
had it if I went, because I'm like I eat so many different types of fruits and vegetables. I want something new, and the farmer at the farmer's market was like pumpkin leaves. I was like, okay, saddle it up and ride and see what happens. And it was super good. I treat them like collard greens, and that's what it reminded me of.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
All
Okay.
right.
So our last little tips. We have mentioned that you should take some B12, vitamin D supplements. Those are important. It's important for everyone, but especially important for vegans. And there are definitely some options that are not vegan friendly. You have to be very careful, especially with the vitamin D, to make sure that it is a vegan friendly option. And it will say it on there. And again, you can always look it up and Google it. Um, let's see. Watch YouTube. shocking tip. It's almost like when we said Google things.
Nothing
No,
specific. Just watch random YouTube videos. You'll figure it out.
just random.
You'll figure it out.
No, we are actually planning an upcoming episode very soon that will go over some of our favorite YouTube stars, podcasts, Instagram influencers that we love. But if you can find people that are, again, spreading the same kind of helpful information that we are, that'll help you along the way. So there are definitely, I'm not going to tell you any now because that'll take away from our episode, but there are definitely some YouTubers that have helped me along the way because they share amazing recipes I would never have seen or easy ways to incorporate veganism into my life. There's even a YouTube couple that I follow because they like to try different fast food options for vegans at different places. So they go to like all kinds of name brand restaurants and they try to figure out what they can possibly have.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
that if you go there or you're like stuck, like if there's like an event that you have to go to at this place, they will probably have already covered it and you can figure out.
I'll check them out. That's pretty cool.
I know, I love it. I think that's so like a little handy kind of in your pocket thing. So definitely watch some YouTube. Just search vegan and you'll find a million options. That might be a long episode because we're gonna go crazy going over our favorite vegan people. And my last tip would be to find some vegan friends by joining a Facebook group. So David and I are both in a vegan Facebook group that's set in Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's most definitely one near your city, I would think. And if there isn't, make your own because then people will find you.
I'm actually also in the Vegan California group.
Oh, look
Because
at you.
I had to go out there and I wasn't quite sure where, for where I used to work. I wasn't sure where to go or, areas to stay in. And they helped out. And I stayed in the group even after I came back from California because they're just, people share recipes and fun tips and just stuff like that. I'm also in a vegan humor group. They just share vegan memes and we poke fun at each other. It's fun.
I like the idea of joining the California one because I was planning a trip out there, before the world ended and all that stuff. But that would be a great tip so that I could make sure that the places on my list were like worth the visit.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I planned on a Disney World trip. So I joined a vegan Disney World group.
See, there's definitely little niche groups on Facebook that can help you. And then you can have real life, like, timely conversations with people. So if you're at a grocery store and you're like not really sure if something's vegan, there are a lot of times you can just show the ingredients to that Facebook group and they'll let you know if there's something like in there that you maybe didn't notice. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, and I would, as not being a Debbie Downer, but whenever you join these groups, there's always people who tend to be a little on the edgier side of things. Like I said, a lot of people in those groups would call us vegan apologists because we're like, if you need to take steps and make this transition to get yourself there and learn, that's fine. We would be attacked for that. And again, 10 years, I've done this for 8 years, but rounding to 10. I've kind of like just go whatever, it's
close enough.
That's your hang up. You're going to stress out about someone who's contributing to less suffering, and because they're not contributing to the amount of suffering that you want them to contribute to right now. Why? All you can do is make them walk away and and not make that decision, that transition. So I would much rather, good job, man. We meatless Mondays, high fives. Hey, weekday veg. Did you went vegetarian and you're weaning yourself off cheese. All right, bring it in for a hug. I'd rather do that than to give someone a ration about making like you're not doing enough. So you're going to have these people in these groups, and they're usually far and few between. And when they do jump on you, you're going to have people come to your rescue and shut them down.
Right.
Usually.
That's very true.
Yeah.
If there's, that one person that doesn't think you should be in the group because maybe you're not fully vegan or you're not making that full transition.
You're not a level 5
just
vegan.
Ignore them.
Yeah.
There will be people that will defend you, so don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
I think that's all our tips.
Yeah.
I think a lot of tips.
We had a lot of tips. So send us some tips. No. Our PayPal address. No. Just joking, everybody. All right. But
no, we We just want you all to take these little small changes we mentioned today to kind of make your way towards those vegan options. And these aren't, life changing, differences. These are small little things you can do to get towards, the life that you want to live.
Yeah. If
A
you want to
cruelty free life.
cruelty free, and if you wanna wade through my wade through my rantings, wade, wade through my odd rantings, and just go back to the meat of it. We'll also have all this stuff in the show notes, so you can have it handy as opposed to like trying to jot down through all of my weirdness.
And you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, or anywhere else you find your podcast fix. Make sure to leave us a review and recommend us to your friends, family, coworkers, strangers, the delivery driver. Of course, follow us on Instagram at The Average Vegans or email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com. Show notes, links, and more can be found at theaveragevegans.com. We'd love to hear your story. How was your vegan transition? What was that like? What's your favorite vegan treats? Your episode suggestions and whatever questions you have about the vegan lifestyle. Just shoot us an email.
Looking forward to it. All right.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everyone.